Okay, let me create a new project and then we'll start from there. I'll say create React app project 6 maybe. So we'll do that again, and I'll see where you missed the thread, because I feel that you are not still getting the grasp of the topic, and that is very important. And the next website which I will start after this My Religion, that is a food donation kind of thing. And this website I will build most of the part in the React.js with Firebase and little bit of PHP and MySQL. So most of the part will be in the React, and there will be some API which we will build in the PHP and MySQL. So you will see that website, and that website will be paid website. So we will integrate the PayPal in it. So that will be the fun website when we start that one. Okay, let's see if it's there or no. It takes a little time to install all the files and folders. I would have done the beginning. So if you see, there is a package.json file created in every folder. See, every folder has package.json file. In the package.json file, you will see what are the modules installed in this project. Let's say tomorrow you will add some more modules created by third parties. So this list will go on increasing. Right now you are able to see only 3. Later on it will be more and more. So as soon as you put new module, you will see more dependencies in this part of the package.json. So that is the addition we see. Now let's go to project 6, and I'll run the npm start, and I'll delete I'll delete app.css, index.css, app.test, logo. I'll delete these files. Let's open index.js. I'll delete the index.css. Let's open the app.js. And let's delete these 2 parts. And I'll delete most of the content of this one. I'll just say hello world. Now we'll see how the page looks. So page is showing hello world. This is my initial setup of the React. Now what I will do, I will create one component. I can create component in this page also. No need to go to another page and create the component. So I can create another component like this, called as main. In this file only I can create it if I want. Generally we keep all components in different files, but for practice or for learning purpose, I can put all the components in one file. Now let's say if I put something here, maybe I can say main page, app page, and I will create 2 input box. One is the input type equal to text. Name is not required. Value equal to, right now I'll put empty, and then I'll say br tag. This is just creating a template. Input type equal to text, value equal to empty. So this will be, I will put name here in this, and this here I will put age. So I have two variables in this page, and I need to fill this variable with some, I need to fill this input box with some variable. So to create a variable, I will create a constructor with props as a default, and this constructor will call the super prop. And then I will say this dot state is equal to curly bracket, that is object. We will create an object of this state, and this object will be contains n number of variables. So first variable I will put as username as many and age as 43. So I put two things in this state. That means two variables are created. If I want to see what is in the state, I will go into the render and see it. I'll do console.log. This state is this dot state. So whenever the app load or whenever the state value changes, the render function is called, and we can see in the console.log what is the value of the state. So right now I have age and username in the state. Now if I want to change the value of username or age, let's change only the username now. I will say change username. I'll create a function and I will pass e in it. And here I will say console.log. I will just put console.log what is coming as e. Value of input field is, and I will put the exact value of the input field which comes in the format of e.target.value. So this is the way we will get the value. Whenever I change something in this input box, a value is created. That value is called e.target.value, which is the value which I fill in this text box. So just I will call this function whenever I change this text. So let's call this function. I will say on change equal to curly bracket, and in here I will say this dot the name of the function. What is the name of the function? Change username. So I will say change username, and I have to bind it. If I don't use bind, then it will not work. All the functions which are created in this page, if we want to call it from the written part, we need to bind it. Whenever we want to call this function in this page, we need to bind it. Bind this. Okay. So curly bracket close. So that is the way we call the function in the render part. Now let's see what happens now. If I refresh the page, I will put the name as Kate, for example. So once I'm putting Kate, this is not appearing here in this one, but it is taking the value. I put Kate, K-A-T-E. To show it here, I need to do something, but right now, just I put Kate, and you will see value of input field is updating. So whatever I am putting, it's going into the value of input field. That means whenever I am changing something, it is calling this function, and this function is showing the value which I am putting in the input box. Now let's put this part, value part, to this dot state dot username. So this is something I want to show the username in the text box. And whenever I call this function, I will change the value of the state of the username, not the age. Only I will change the username. So how to change the state? I will say this dot set state. I cannot say this dot state dot username to update it. I cannot say this value equal to e.target.value. That is wrong. We should not say like this. This is wrong way to do that. So to update the state, we have to use this dot set state, and I have to create an object inside the set state, and inside the object I will say username is equal to, that is colon e.target.value. That means whenever I update this input box, it will, on change of this input box, it will call a function called a change username, and change username will update the state, and that state will be username equal to e.target.value. Once the state will change, the render function will again be called, and you will see in the console.log the state value, that is these two value again, and you will see the updated value in this text box. So let's check it. So initially it is many because it is coming here as a many, and it is displayed here as a many. Now I can change it to Kate. So once I change to K, first time the state is updated. When I put K, A, second time state is updated. When I say T, third time state is updated. When I say E, fourth time state is updated with Kate. And the new value is updated here in the name field. If I put something in the age, nothing will happen because we have not written any function to update the age. Let's write down the function to add the age. Let me delete this console.log. So I will create a similar function as this one, and here I will only update the age. I will say change age. And once I say change age, I will put the state, this dot set state, and again I will say age colon e dot target dot value. So always the value will come in this format, e dot target dot value. And here I will use value will be this dot state dot age. On change, it will be this dot change age dot bind this. So this is the way we put the function, we call the function. Now let's change the age. I will put 34. So once I change the state, you will see the render function is again called, and we are able to see console.log again and again. So I'm able to see the console.log. Once I put 3, I'm able to see the console.log. When I put 4, I'm able to see the console.log. So this way, I am updating the name and age in the form. This is the way we do in the React. Any questions on this part? Any question in understanding this part? No questions? Is it clear? Everything is clear, right?
Yes.
Everything is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Carrie? Carrie, are you there? Okay. Let's go further now. Now, let's say this input box is not in this component. This input box is not in this component. It is in different component. I will create another component here only, though in reality we will create a component in another file. So let's create another component here only, main extends component. And here I will say render function. Inside the render function, I will return HTML, and there will be only one parent tag as a div and div. And here I will say h3 main page. I am inside the main page. h3. So now I will put this part, name and age, inside the main component. And since here we will not get a state because state is created in the app component, here we will get a props. So I will put props dot username and props dot age. And since we need to call the function, and this function, now I'll talk about this function. Let's delete it now. Let's delete this now. Okay. I will talk about the on change one behavior. Now what I will do, I will call this main component and I will pass the username equal to this dot state dot username, and I will also pass age equal to this dot state dot age. So this is how I call the main component. Now if you see the HTML part, you will see I am in the main page and I am able to see the name and age in the text box. Now whenever I update this part, whenever I update the text box with the new username, I want the state to be changed. You cannot really change the props value because props is only for the display purpose. So we cannot change the props. We have to change the state. So change the state username, I need to call this function. So to change the username, I need to call this function, and this function is not present here. So how will we call this function? And to change the age, I want to call this function, and this function is not present in this component. So how will I call this function? So to do that, I will also pass the function name. For example, I can say change username is equal to this dot change username. Now here I will not put the bind, I will just pass this username here. So I am just sending the username, and I will also send the age. So I will be passing the age also. So I will say change age is equal to this dot okay, 1 second, let me see, 1 second, change username. Okay, so I need to pass the whole thing, dot bind this. Let's put same whole function, and for the change age, I will pass this dot change age dot bind this. I will pass the whole as we did the previous example. So here I am passing the change username, and I am passing this change username as a prop to the main component, and I am passing the change age to the main component as a prop. So here, if I want to write down the on change, I will write down like this. On change, I will say equal to this dot, what I am passing? Props. I am passing this function as a prop. So I can say this dot props dot, I will put the name of this one, change username, and I will pass the value. And what is the value for this one? So the value won't come here if I don't pass as an event. Value goes as an event. So I really cannot use this as a prop. So I need to do some manipulation on this function. Before I go further, let's refresh the things. Have you understood what I am doing here? What I am doing in this part?
Can you hear me?
Pardon? Pardon?
You create a function. You create a function for the min.
Yeah, I created a function here, and I am passing this function to the main component. Why I am passing this function to the main component?
You want to use it.
And tell me why I am passing the function?
Because you want to use it in the min.
Right, because I want to use this function in this component, and I cannot write this function of changing the state in this component because state existed only in this part, and here state does not exist. So to update the state, I need to send this function to the main component. And how I am sending the function? I will be writing in the same way as I did previously. That is, the change username is equal to this dot change username dot bind this. And for age, I am saying this dot change age dot bind this. And I am passing these two functions in the main component. Now I will use these two functions in the main component. So how to use these two functions in the main component is little challenging. So before I use these two functions, I will create another function here for the change username. This will be the local function to this class, and I will tell you what is the use of these two functions. So let's create two more functions. One function will be, I will put maybe change name. I am not putting same name. I will put change name. Instead of username, I am putting just change name because I want to differentiate between their function here and there. Though I can keep the name same, but I will put it some different name. If I put same name, there will be conflict of the name. And here I will put some different name change. I will say year. Instead of age, I am just saying year. So now, whenever I update this input box, first I will call the onChange method. OnChange, I will call this dot. Now I will call this one. I will call this one. So I will say this dot change name dot bind this. And here I will say onChange equal to this dot change age dot change year, because the year I have written change year dot bind this. So here also I am calling the local function, and local function is change name and change year. So what will happen when I change something here? Whenever I change something here, it will call this method. Whenever I change this method, whenever I change the age, it will call this method. Now we need to call this in reality. So how to call this in reality? I will explain this tomorrow because it will be little time consuming and now we don't have time. So what I did here, I created app component with two functions. I am passing these two functions in the main component. These two functions go as a props in the main component, and in the main component I created another new functions, and I am calling onChange. I am calling these two new functions, and tomorrow I will integrate this change username inside these two new functions. So that is the task of tomorrow I will do. So right now just you try to do this part only and see if it is appearing correctly in the browser. It's coming correctly in the browser, but we need to fill these two functions with some defined value. So that part we will do tomorrow. So let me know if you feel this little easy or difficult, or if you are able to understand it or no. I want to just know how you feel in this one. Are you able to understand it or no?
Yes, I can understand.
So whatever
but I still need to take time, practice, and.
Okay, I put it in the chat. You can practice it whenever you feel, and tomorrow I will repeat this all step again, and I will go on further to update these two values, update these two functions. Once we do the changes in the functions, then this project will be over. So the main purpose of this project is to pass these functions in another component and to use these functions in another component. That is the task of this project, is that we will complete tomorrow. I think Carrie is lost. She is not replying.
I'm here. I just had a lot of background noise, so I have to watch the video. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.